a lone woman pulls off the biggest home burglary spree in American history.
She's this criminal mastermind that became this sort of folk hero in South Florida.
Stealing over $6 million in jewelry, furs, and artwork.
She's basically shopping through these people's houses.
She changed her appearance like a chameleon.
And left the police helpless to stop her.
And I said to myself, my God, where is she not hitting? How about the Bahamas? Are they safe? How is this woman not getting caught?
Find out how she did it next on Masterminds. During the early 1980s, cocaine wars caused an unprecedented urban crime wave in Miami. To escape, the affluent moved further north to gated and patrolled communities like Boca del Mar and Boca Raton.
It was people getting out of Miami. They were people with money. There was a lot of wealth, fabulous wealth along the intercoastal.
But in 1984, these well-protected communities were hit by a spree of over 500 home burglaries.
It was not uncommon for us in a 5-day period to investigate anywhere from 10 to 12 burglaries in Boca del Mar or in the Boca Raton area. The frequency and the dollar loss started to mount real quick.
The people of Boca del Mar could not go to work and do their shopping without having to worry that their homes were being burglarized.
The loss was not only staggering in dollar amount, but it was alarming in that it wasn't just the typical jewelry and or, say, expensive electronic equipment. It was just about anything of value.
All of South Florida was being racked by this one burglar. It wasn't your typical run-of-the-mill crook that we were dealing with. I mean, burglaries went unsolved.
Police discover similar MOs in all the crimes.
The burglaries always occurred during Monday through Friday. The point of entry was always through the front door. And that pillowcases were missing from the master bedroom. There was no witnesses, there was no latent prints. The perpetrator was obviously the same person.
The police were unable to identify the perpetrator because they assumed the crimes could only have been committed by a man.
This completely blew me off my feet. Here I'm dealing with a prolific burglar who's a woman and very good at what she does.
That was what was so cool about it. You know, she wasn't the person that I imagined stealing my VCR.
Judy Amar was the mastermind behind America's largest home burglary spree, stealing over $6 million in furs, jewelry, and artwork.
It was just an exciting feeling. I just thought, wow, this is marvelous. Catch me if you can.
The question is, how did she do it? Judy Amar is the mastermind behind the greatest home burglary spree in U.S. history, leaving the police helpless to stop her. Amar grew up poor on an Arkansas farm.
Very boring, not adventuresome. It was a farming community, and I really didn't like what I was doing.
After an unwanted teenage pregnancy, she leaves her child to be raised by her parents and moves to Miami.
I was told that, you know, nobody wanted me, I wasn't good looking. The same thing that most girls get in trouble for.
In Miami, desperate to support herself, she accepts an offer from a boyfriend to help him rob homes.
So I needed money. He asked me to drive him somewhere because no one would be suspicious of a woman. You go in the house, you look for the jewelry. That's it, you come back to the car. He wasn't really that good at it. He always seemed to mess up everything.
During a burglary, Judy and her accomplice are arrested by the police. However, due to insufficient evidence, all charges are dropped.
From now on, if I'm taking a chance of getting arrested, and I'm going alone. It was better because I didn't have to worry about him messing up something or getting in my way. So that's when I started.
She had a lot of different abilities that made it a natural choice, so to speak, for her. She had a plan and a scheme, and that's what made her different than your average burglar.
Amar now sets out to revolutionize home burglary, starting with how she finds her targets.
The Sunday real estate section was Judy's Guide to Burglary. It's where developers of housing projects try to tout the amenities they're offering in their homes. Basically, they lay out all these floor plans, which for a burglar, in hindsight, it's incredible information. She used that to her advantage. She could see whether these homes were being sold, for instance, with security systems installed. She could see if the doors were recessed. Just from looking at the house diagrams, she could plan 30 burglaries in 30 different brand new neighborhoods sitting there with the Palm Beach Post.
Having determined her target, Amar now creates the perfect persona for herself.
The wigs were, by far and away, the greatest asset she had in trying to disguise herself.
I had several different ones. I had a long, straight with bangs, one that was done with curls that was frosted. I had an afro. I had a short one, but I would just change.
Judy knew how to dress when she went out. High heels. She always wore high heels. Slacks, because she did know that she might have to make some sort of getaway. She just looked good, she looked like she belonged.
No one would give her a second thought because professional businesswomen is a very common occurrence here in Boca Del Mar and in Boca Raton. Very common to see a woman executive or a woman real estate agent dressed this way.
She could go into gated communities and just, wave at the guard. Hi, how you doing? And she'd look like she belonged there, which is something that her compatriots couldn't pull off.
The next step in Amar's plan is to obtain untraceable transportation.
The idea is to change the automobiles as often as possible. If the police are looking for a red Plymouth, you come back in a blue Chevrolet, you completely befuddled everyone. They're not looking for that car.
At least once a week, she rents a different car and always pays in cash.
So you give them $300, $500, and you take the car. As long as you keep the payments up, you don't have a problem.
To further ensure her vehicle is untraceable, Amar changes the license number to prevent witnesses from correctly identifying her car. Having found her target and secured transportation, Amar now determines the perfect time to strike.
She would look for our deputies, and she'd stay back several car lengths and just watch them and follow them. And if he went into a particular restaurant, she knew that darn well that the deputy was now going to eat. That's a good 30 minutes.
For Amar, this is the window of opportunity. She heads immediately to her target. She has chosen this house because its recessed front door helps conceal her activities.
Because I would have covering, and the people next door really couldn't see anyone standing there.
She would put that Gucci bag on her arm and strides right up to the door like she belonged there. She knew where she was going. She'd knock on the door. She could think on her feet. Someone caught her in the act of something. She would say, "Oh, I've got the wrong house. I'm so sorry to bother you." She leaves. But if there's no one there, no one answers the knock, no dogs are barking, she goes to work.
And inside of her purse was her 12-inch long screwdriver.
She knew exactly where to place the screwdriver to get this door open.
She would insert the blade of the screwdriver between the frame of the door and the locking mechanism and jam it as far as she could possibly get it and begin to bend it. And eventually the lock is wide open and she uses the screwdriver to push the lock back. Now she's got an entry into the house.
The only problem is, she's triggered the alarm system.
Judy was not afraid of alarms.
The vast majority of alarm calls are false alarms, and the police know that, and Judy knew that.
The master bedroom was first. At that point, she knew she had about 60 seconds before the alarm system would go off. She'd go to the closet, get the designer clothes, grab a pillowcase off the bed.
She knew what she was looking for. Things that would sell well.
It was a strand of pearls with a piece of jade in the middle, and it had sapphires and diamonds around it.
She's basically shopping through these people's houses.
There was 2 Piaget watches, beautiful antique pieces.
Things that she would like and might keep for herself.
Amar is in and out in 90 seconds, but she's so bold, she goes back for more.
After I got that in the car, I had seen the Remington statue on the way out, and I went back in and took it.
Judy Amar is at the height of her powers, stealing $250,000 worth of goods in a single burglary. The only problem is, her past is about to catch up with her. America's most prolific home burglar, Judy Amar, has broken into hundreds of houses and scored over $6 million in jewelry, furs, and art.
Now they've increased from 1 reported on Tuesday and 1 on Wednesday to 2 or 3 on Monday, 4 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday. I mean, she was just having a field day. She was going wild.
Then in 1985, the police finally get a lucky break.
And a man came home from work and actually found Judy in his house. And she literally ran right past him, got in the car and drove away.
For the first time, the police realize the criminal they're searching for is a woman.
One of the other detectives had remembered a woman who years before had been arrested for the same thing in the same area.
When the police search their database for that period, it reveals Judy's name.
I mean, it lit up just like if you hit 777 on a slot machine in Vegas. We got Judy's picture, put it in a lineup, brought it to him, and instantly he picked her out, said that was the woman.
The police also established the make and model of Judy's car. They issue a statewide bulletin. Despite her close call, Judy brazenly targets a second home that day.
One of our deputies had been alerted we were looking for a particular car that Judy was using. It was a blue Chevrolet. He's yelling into the radio that he had found the car and it was unoccupied. So he took up a position and waited for the troops to get there.
And there was police dragnet forming, and she knew that she was about to get cornered.
Amar escapes out the back, then breaks into the house next door, where she finds a set of car keys.
And I pulled the wig off and go, because if someone had seen me and gave a description, they're giving the wrong one. I look nothing like it.
There's a Mercedes sedan parked in the garage. And she's so brazen, she waves to an officer, the officer waves back, and she got away. She just drives right through the police dragnet.
One of the detectives who she drove by, he had no real clue what she looked like that day because she changed her appearance like a chameleon. Today she could be a redhead, tomorrow she's a blonde, and on Friday she would be a brunette. This woman was good. When we realized that she had given us the slip, and I remember the temper tantrum that I had, which wasn't pretty, I was livid. I was angry at no one but Judy, and pretty much said to myself, okay, you just made this personal now. This case then came home with me. I had a closet in my house, and I used it as a little mini office. And I would work on this thing at night on my own time. And this became an obsession with me.
Scanning burglary reports from across the state, Tomasi recognizes Judy's MO and realizes she's hitting a much larger territory than he suspected.
She likes to travel. The city of Delray Beach is notifying us that they're having burglaries that match Judy's MO to the T. The city of Boca Raton is, the city of Plantation is, the city of Sunrise is, and then the city of Naples, which is on the other side of Florida, is telling us that they have cases that match. And I said to myself, my God, where is she not hitting? How about the Bahamas? Are they safe? I mean, just how is this woman not getting caught?
It was a lot of work. You had to get up in the mornings just like you were going to a job. You had to find an area to burglarize. Sometimes it was from 8 till 6 or 7 at night.
As Judy's spree continues, police trace her abandoned blue Chevrolet back to a car rental agency near the airport.
They identified her and said, yeah, she comes in here on a regular basis. So now they knew she was wanted. They no longer wanted to do business with her, and they said, if she comes, we're going to call the police.
Tomasi now ups the ante.
We found out about her family in Arkansas and did a background on her son.
At his request, the FBI detains Judy's son.
We kind of figured if we put pressure on her family, that's going to be her Achilles heel. So we started talking to her son. Do you really want to have your mom resisting us and getting herself killed? We don't want your mom getting hurt. She's the one who's upping the ante on this every week.
The son refuses to give his mother up. When Judy learns the FBI is leaning on her family, she's outraged.
That hit a sore spot with Judy. That was her Achilles heel, was her son, because she became livid with me, and she called me from somewhere in Miami.
And told him to leave my family alone, that my family had nothing to do with this, and I was not in Arkansas.
She was furious at me for reaching out for her family. But if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes.
He said, you need to turn yourself in. I said, I can't do that.
Judy Amar's refusal to surrender, however, is about to threaten both her life and Ron Tomasi's. "16 months pass in the Amar burglary investigation, without the police getting any closer to catching her.
They didn't know where to find her. They were being driven crazy. Poor Ron Tomasi, he became obsessed with finding Judy to the point where the little things that she would do would irritate him to no end. And he'd just get more and more stressed.
I said, I'm living this case. I'm eating this case. I'm breathing this case. I can't sleep at night because of this case.
And I love police detectives, but they're the most macho, guys in the world. They don't want anyone to get away with anything. But here's somebody who's clever and smarter and a woman, and they can't catch a girl. There was just something that was galling about that.
Pushed to the point of exhaustion, Tomasi suffers a heart attack and is forced off duty for weeks.
He was so obsessed with it, I think that was his problem. He had his hands full. His children even knew my name.
The very day that I went back to work, I was notified that Judy Amar had been identified as hiding in a motel in Surfside from an informant in Miami.
I think if it had not been for this guy and a drug charge, trying to get a lenient sentence, well, he told on him. He told her where she was.
With an army of undercover agents, Tomasi stakes out the motel.
So we had snipers and everybody in place. We didn't know what we were going to deal with, whether she was going to quietly submit to us or we would have to shoot it out. She came home at about 8:20, 8:30 in the morning. She comes to her door. And the moment she put the key into the motel door to open it, everybody came out.
I remember turning around, and the black guy, I think, had the chain with his badge around it. He's in a squat position with a gun like this.
She was so completely stunned, she said that she looked around, there were guns everywhere. She just, thank God, she just surrendered and it was over. The room was filled from top to bottom, from wall to wall, with statues, clothing, shoes, apparel, jewelry. You just couldn't imagine. It looked like a little warehouse or a little store. I remember when we sat as close as we are now, and I looked into her eyes, and she was crying. And then she said to me she was glad it was over. She actually told me, I'm glad it's over now. And I told her, same thing, I'm glad it's over.
Judy Amar pleads guilty to multiple charges of burglary and is sentenced to 10 years. In 1990, she is released from prison.
It was an obsession. I would go by a house, you know, it was just this haunting feeling. And then I decided that I was going to do things right no matter what. And I was determined not to burglarize anybody anymore.
Since her release, the Bandit Queen has used her unique skills to teach Americans how to make their homes more secure.